World War II Weapons by Bryson, Kennedy, and Karlie.
Okay, so the first thing we're talking about is how it started and why it started. So about World War II, it came just years later after the previous war, which was World War I. This war was the most harmful, dangerous, and deadliest war in history. This war consisted of more than 30 countries and led to more than 85 million deaths. So in this presentation, we will be discussing the weapons that were used throughout the war and the details of how they really worked and what they really did. So the first one is the bazooka. And the bazooka is sort of like a gun. It actually is a tube, though. In the picture you can see that you just kind of, even though it's long, it's easy to carry. You can just, there's a strap that goes on your back and you can carry it. It shoots out a metal rocket, and the speed can go so fast that it goes through even the toughest armor. And the bazooka was named after a musical instrument. I tried to find out which one, but I could not. And this weapon was the most popular, was very popular, and you could usually find it in most of the wars. The next one is the Piat, and this is actually an abbreviation. It's not a real word. This kind of equipment was also found a lot in World War II and was commonly used by soldiers. And the acronym stands for Projector Infantry Anti-Tank. And the British actually invented this weapon in 1942 because they were falling behind and they needed a stronger, more powerful anti-tank weapon. So 1 year later, this tool was approved to enter as an effective weapon in the war and was put to the test, and it was approved, and it was a really good weapon. The next items.
The MG-34 represents that it was invented in 1934. It was designed by Heinrich Vollmer. The MG-34 uses both magazine lead and belt fed. It also has 7.92 ammunition. A lot of people thought this was going to be the first general purpose machine gun. This was the main infantry machine gun during the 1930s. For a while, the weapon was considered the primary tank and aircraft weapon.
Okay, this is called the Brim. This gun was a light machine gun. You can also carry this one on your back. And as you can see, it has stands, so you didn't always have to hold it in the air. You could lay down in like a ditch or something and stand it up. And it fired .30 caliber rounds at 500 RPM. The only bad thing about this weapon was that it shot a lot slower than the other weapons, and it only took a box or drum magazines, which meant that you had to reload it over and over again because it didn't hold very many bullets at one time.
The M1 rifle was a semi-automatic rifle. It could shoot bullets very, very fast. It belonged to the United States Army. It allowed U.S. troops to be a better match against Germans and Soviet troops with their MG-42.
Okay, this is the Dora and Gustav rail cannons. These were, they were 31.5-inch caliber German cannons. They were actually the largest cannons in the world that have ever been used. They had to be transported in different pieces and then put together because they were so big, and it took over 4,000 men to build all of that together when it was put back together. And only the Gustavs were used, and it fired 42 shots during 1942, and each of the shells weighed 11,000 pounds. Okay, this is really gross to me. But this is called an exploding rat, and this one was disguised as an actual rat. The rats were skinned and filled with plastic explosives, and then the soldiers would sew them back up. The rats were actually placed among coal beside a boiler, so when people saw them there, they threw them in a fire, which caused an even bigger explosion, which killed many people.
The M4 Sherman fell under the category at aluminum tanks, which means it wasn't too big, but it wasn't the kind you could carry around like a regular gun. The battle tank was found in numerous weapons. In many countries used it like the United States and many other Western allies in the World War II. The weapons proved to be reliable and was cheap to create, make, and sell. So overall, this weapon was easy to find in shops back in the day, and it was a very strong and powerful weapon.
Okay, this is actually a video, and these were some weapons that were not mentioned in this presentation. I cannot pronounce the first one, but the next one is a wind cannon, which will be used in the video, and then the last one is a bouncing bomb, and you will hear more about these in the video.
Readjust your settings. I have to do it from more in the center. When you guys are doing your presentations, you don't have to read your sources off the slide. I had some people doing it this morning, but that's not necessary. Just that they're included is sufficient. Okay. So I'm positive. You can just say
Thank you.